Anyway, we have the cutest couple who have come to tell their he said, she said story of how they met. Oh, you're gonna love this. Olivia stole our hearts last month. She's back with her boyfriend, Nick, and they are going to be sharing how they met. Please give it up for Olivia and Nick.
I'm glad I dragged him up here with me. Take it away.
Didn't take too much.
Yeah.
Alright. So I first met Olivia back in our sophomore year math class. We apparently were in our freshman year math class together, but we both didn't know each other. But we first got to start talking when our teacher put somehow all 3 gingers in the class all at the same exact table. And I had asked her, I was like, there's no way you did this on accident. She said she did, but definitely on purpose.
Now, everybody has a type, right? Some are into brains, or muscle, or maybe like a lot of hair, or the rare all of the above. But can we talk about those scrawny stoner boys that don't even know you exist? I mean, delicious. Now, in high school, there's a handful of that type, right? But there was one that stood out to me. He had this gorgeous long red hair and a strong face structure and the most I couldn't give less of a fuck attitude. Like a regular heartthrob. And get this, he was smart. I mean, very smart. And luckily, we ended up in the same math class at the back of the room. Now, at this point, I wasn't really swooning for him, but he did make me nervous and conscious of how my hair looked at every moment. We sat and chatted about mutual friends and weekend plans, and then when class started, he would try his best to explain triangles and negative intervals to me. And, oh yeah, I understand now. I never really understood that. One day, he leans near to me. Oh, this is it, I'm thinking. You want to hit my dad pen? As he asks as he flashes the small metallic weed pen just about every unbothered teenage boy carried around with him at all times. I was surprised. Hit your weed pen? In math class? No, put that thing away.
What a wuss. That's all I gotta say.
So he raised his hands and like clockwork exited the room, only to come back 20 minutes later with blissfully squinted eyes. I was convinced he was crazy and continued trying to figure out the twisted language of math.
Yeah, so nothing else really happened that year, but it did get cut off by COVID in like April. So unfortunately we didn't get to be in math class together anymore. But this definitely being on e-learning definitely ramped up how much I was smoking. And I didn't have to go to the bathroom anymore. I could just do it in class, right there. The computer right there, I'm just hitting the bomb. Pretty revolutionary.
Right. Now, Nick was this beautiful specimen I admired from afar. He was friends with some of my friends, bonded by their friend, Mary Jane. And I was just not at their level yet. But things you do for love, am I right? Yeah. I began hitting that level, sorry mom, when COVID hit and you didn't have to take a bathroom break to smoke weed.
The fact that we were smoking weed in high school, crazy. Are you guys doing that?
Yes!
Alright, I don't feel bad. Alright, so time went by. It was summer going into senior year. At this point, I was really deep into my spirituality. It was a very big priority in my life, but smoking did definitely take from that, but I still had time for my practice, like yoga and meditation. This was a life-changing summer for me, which I'll get there, but at this point, me and her weren't really talking. We were texting a little bit, but we didn't really hang out.
So my close friend would regularly hang out with Nick to smoke. Right. And describes him as pretty spiritual. She talked about his yoga routines and how he was into tarot cards and meditation, which she thought was pretty annoying, but I was kind of intrigued. Eventually, we started talking and planned a time to hang out. I was pretty excited to hang out with someone who shared my two hobbies, God and weed. His red Camry pulled up to my house, and I was excited. Right, I was ready to get into that passenger seat and hear some indie music and maybe get right into the tarot card thing. But to my surprise, he was bumping some Chicago rap and didn't really say too much. I also found out sooner that he didn't care for tarot cards at all. So, we had short conversations on our way to the smoke spot, a corner of a parking lot with pretty grass and trees, right next to 355, romantic. It was also raining, so we were huddled next to a tree, just smoking this joint, and I was reaching for any type of spark, other than that of a lighter, of course. But nothing was really there. So after that hangout, I kind of checked him off my list. Sorry, baby, but we didn't really click.
Yeah, she did end up ghosting me, and it made me a little bit upset. But I was in the midst of smoking and selling a lot of weed, so I was kind of, my attention was elsewhere. So it really just wasn't meant to be at the time, which it works out, you know, we're up here now. But, so we were a week away from starting our senior year. I managed to get myself arrested with quite a bit of weed on me. I wasn't sure what would happen, but I knew for damn sure that my parents would be mad. And they were pissed. So when they picked me up from the station, I went back home to no door and a jail cell pretty much. So my senior year began with no phone, no car, and I would ride a bike 6 miles every morning to school. But it was definitely a blessing in disguise, because that's what really picked up my spiritual practice. I got into reading, Hindu philosophy, etc. But I would ride to school anyways with no shirt on, and people saw, you know, I was riding down the route, everybody drives to school. So I got asked many times if that was me riding on Prairie with no shirt. Yes, it was. So I look forward after first period. Me and Olivia always crossed paths in the hallway. We'd always exchange awkward hello.
So awkward.
Yeah, nothing really. It was just I always wanted to say something more, but I was nervous.
Right. Well, since he was persistent, we eventually reconnected a few months after our first hangout. And one day at school I saw him, and I asked him in the halls, hey, like, do you want to get together and smoke again? Well, he responded that he didn't smoke again, or anymore, and that he'd gotten arrested, and he'll keep in touch. Arrested, I thought. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal. I was even more intrigued now. So, we kept texting, and he planned a day for us to go see Christmas lights in Lombard that he raved about. Apparently they're amazing.
My mom raved about it.
Right, same thing. So he picked me up and we headed to Lombard. He had this kind of attentive curiosity to me, a very good listener and very calm. So we get to the lights and it's completely dark. Maybe we're early, I thought?
It was barely December at that point.
2 weeks early, the lights were not on. Just like dark silhouettes of big penguins and like candy canes. So, I mean, it's the first awkward sober hangout. What are you to do? We get out of the car and we walk through the park in the dark. Just, you know, talking about these creepy ass penguins and whatnot, enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, so after walking around the park, imagining what could be with the lights, we decided it would probably be a better idea to walk around the neighborhood and look at people's lights in their houses. I'm not really sure what we talked about, but I do remember that it was a little bit cold out, but we were walking and she just whips a pair of gloves out of her coat. You want a pair of gloves? I declined, of course, but I did think it was kind of nice that she brought an extra pair for me, because she had like one on and she just pulled out another pair.
You didn't strike me as the type to have gloves on you at the time, so...
Hands in the pockets.
Got it. Maybe that.
Anyways, so after walking around the neighborhood for a little bit, we found our way back to the car and had about like an hour left till she had to be at her friend's house. But we didn't really know what we could do. So we just decided to drive back to her house. And on the way back, we saw an enchanted castle, which I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's essentially like a Chuck E. Cheese. After a very, very short discussion, I pulled a U-turn right in that parking lot, and that was when I figured out I was hanging out with a psycho. So we were playing mini golf, and she just rears back and slams the fucking thing.
First time.
Whizzes right past the kid's head, no concern, just started laughing a little bit, and I was like, who the hell am I hanging out with?
Well, after that experience, I had dinner plans with my girlfriend, so I couldn't hang out long, but when the Enchanted Castle arcade place called, we answered. And we had a fun hour of mini golf, screaming children that I might have provoked, and random arcade games. We were the sweetest things. He dropped me off after that, and we both felt this longing to be together again.
So when I dropped her off, this is a short little bit, when I dropped her off, she was going to dinner, I was going home. I said, have a good dinner, and she said, you too. Kind of like when you say it to a waitress, when they tell you to enjoy the food, and you say, you too. I just rolled the window back up, I was like, what the fuck?
So now, I'm walking up the stairs of my friend's house and trying so hard to hide the smirk on my face as I entered her room. Their conversation stopped to pay me attention. Oh, where were you? Oh, just at the Enchanted Castle with Nick. You played mini golf? Was it a date? No, it was not a date. We were just hanging out. And I truly believe that. We were just hanging out. I am not going on dates with anyone. Especially the ex-world-renowned drug dealer from high school. Not the thing.
I'll take it.
Well, we enjoyed hanging out together, sober, almost every week after that. He'd sneak in and out of my house late at night or early in the morning, which we'll get into another time. So I guess it was a date. We truly couldn't get enough of each other. The beautiful red-haired boy that taught me math turned into my love, teaching me honesty, vulnerability, and spirituality. And no matter what my mind had to say about it, the magnet of love brought us together.
Hang on. Now I want to finish it off. So now we're here on the stage, and we've shared a lot of experience together, and it is very safe to say that she is 100% the love of my life.